why Syria? I mean, people will ask you, why everybody focus on Syria? I remember when we had the Gulf War, when the Iraqi government of Saddam Hussein invaded Kuwait, and people were quite upset that time, and they said, why not you didn't go to Cyprus? Because Cyprus was that time, you remember, divided into two parts of the, and one was with the Greek, and the other one went with the Turkish government. And they said, and the Prime Minister of Cyprus that time, he was quoted saying that because we have orange. So if you have orange, nobody comes to your country. But if you have oil and gas, everybody fall in love with you. So that is how it is, because that was matter, because Kuwait was rich in oil, rich in investment. Iraq is also rich, so that was the war was on. Now, this, my paper presentation, the objective of this small paper presentation is just to explain to you about the Arab world and how we went into crisis after the Second World War. We were divided into 19 Arab countries by the Sykes-Picot, the First World War. So Arab country was divided, and then we had the problem in the Arab world because we just had been under the Ottoman Empire, and then we were promised to have independence, but then because of the Sykes-Picot Accord, they wanted to divide the Arab world and divide the interests of these countries. So we were divided, we were broken up into this. So Second World War, we saw our independence because that time they were afraid of the communism, and communism may be spreading on the very fast. So they decided to give the Arab countries different, immediately their own independence. So there was a frustration in the Arab street on this turmoil. Why the turmoil in the Arab street took place? Arab Spring took place turmoil because the absence of democracy. Because we didn't have a real democracy in the Arab world. We did not build up an institution where we were able to see, like India opted for democracy. You have different type, you have, it's a gradual process which Indian now can enjoy and see the value of having a democratic setup. So because most of the regime who have come to the Arab world were not elected by the people, they were imposed on us, or they came through a coup, or they came on the tank of the colonial power. So we didn't have a real democracy set up. Having said that, also they have created something for us which is called Israel inside Palestine. And that was the time when the Arab world started feeling that there is something to rally behind. I'm mentioning it here because it's important as a part of the national movement in the Arab world, especially after the First World War, and then you had the Second World War. So people were rallying behind the Palestinian cause because the Palestinians were at the receiving end, that Israel is annihilating its territories, and it was established as an independent state at the cost of the Palestinian. And people in the Arab street were very angry because none of the Arab leaders were able to do anything for the Arab cause, and we had to suffer on their hand, and that's why you see the maximum refugees were in the Arab world from the Palestinian people, and till date, they have not done anything. So then you had this, the West have really supported the Arab regimes at the cost of the people, of course, because you discovered oil, you discovered gas, you wanted these oil and gas, you don't care about the people whether their welfare is good or not, as long as these leaders and systems are serving your purpose. Had it been, there's a nice book in Africa called The Crude Oil by Peter Haas, must read it as a journalist, you should know. And you have The Thicker Than Oil, another book also by Rachel Bronson, which is very important to read, to understand how the greedy world works and how they go to a place where they discover oil, they just get some of the tribes or some of the group to serve their own purpose, and they forget the majority of the public. So the Arab world have really suffered enough on this. So when the Arab Spring started in the Arab world, everybody was hoping that there is a new movement, there is something people are aspiring in the Arab world, they wanted independence, they wanted freedom, they wanted a better life. Everything was there in the young generation like you. People were in the street from Facebook, from Twitter, from all these accounts, because they wanted to feel the pulse of the world, that we are now the generation, we are the people power. So we were all hoping. I mean, I'm one of the person who really supported the movement in the sense, had it been a more democratic movement, I would love to see my children also to be in a more better place to live. But the problem was the alternative to the Arab Spring was hijacked by the Islamist forces. And because it was the only force available to the people as a political movement, because political Islam was introduced It was the only place to take a shelter in a mosque where you can speak your heart out, where you can be easily recruited. Because it was the only place where you can meet your other friends, is the Jummah pray, or you go into their place, so nobody will check on you. Then it was easy to exploit people. And there that movement became the government, the shadow government on the governing of the corrupted governments in the countries. So when these governments collapsed, immediately there was election. We saw these political Islam parties have gained power, and then the mess created, whether it's in Tunisia, whether in Libya, whether in Egypt, whether in Syria, Yemen, and so on and so forth. 2003, the American invaded Iraq. It's a market-driven force, by the way. This is the problem with the American. When you meet an American scholars, you talk to them, they will tell you it was a mistake. There's no mistake, for God's sake. You're occupying a country, killing 1 million people. 1.5 million people are handicapped. You have 5 million people refugees, and you call it a mistake? Then why you are a superpower of this world? We need to ask these questions. If I wanted to be a unipolar world, I don't expect the superpower, only sole superpower really, to destroy the world and say sorry. So we have to see the chronology of American foreign policy toward the region. Then we can understand that there is no mistake in politics. It's a well-planned issues. They have done it. They have succeeded. They created radicalization. How to manufacture a terrorist? It was very simple. Create a stateless, powerless, dissolve the army, dissolve the security apparatus, get militias, let everybody run the show for themselves, and everybody become the boss. So that is how the things there. And now you call international community, you say, sorry, the country, we cannot save it. We brought democracy. What is the democracy outcome? You say it is division of the country. Oh, that's what, for God's sake. So this is how the frustration in the Arab world because of the American occupation of Iraq, which have left up the bad marks. And it is not only the Abu Ghraib, we can see the way of torturing. Why I am bringing for you this brief discussion, it's important to understand as a journalist. Why? I was with the American troops inside Iraq, and we were following, investigating their stories of opening the camps. You had Pakka camp, you had the Kripar camp, you had Nama camp. It is in the military zone in Iraq, and then you had Abu Ghraib prison. These are the places where you had 26 to 28,000 inmates. And can you imagine if you have 28,000 inmates raping each other, dog raping them, a girl is raped in front of her mother, a boy is raped in front of his father. Everybody is being destroyed. Then you have people who come and teach you the wrong religion, intoxicated in your brain. And after all this training, you graduated from there as the best terrorist in the world, which is Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi. Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi graduated from Pakka camp in 2008. He was there for 3 years, and the American released him, despite the fact he had $10 million in his head. And when you confront with the American, they say, we have taken him by mistake. So by mistake, everything in their policy by mistake, we have to understand the mistakes. Our mistakes is terrorist, their mistake is personal mistakes. So that's how it is. I brought for you this picture to show you Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi prior to his beard, how he used to enjoy with his girlfriend. He had a girlfriend, he had a good life, he is drinking, enjoying his life, and he was teaching in the university, he was a footballer, everything. He graduated from the camp with Rolex watch in his hand and with a long beard. So that is how you bring religion. You know how to make a religious person who does not even understand the religion except their own way of interpreting what is written in the Holy Book. And there where we are having the problem of this. This is his picture. This is American came and give the key to Maliki that time that this is Iraq. You can see from the car, from the rebels behind, from the situation that the democracy, American spreading democracy in the Arab world has did. So the Arab world, you know, it was all in a turmoil. And these are the pictures which I wanted you to see, how the Arab world were in turmoil. People are upset with the regulation, with the people, malpractice, the killing, the atrocities, and the siphoning of resources from the Arab world. So this is short history to the Arab world, which you should know, that you will always be confused to understand the Arab world, because nothing in the Arab world is really goes by paper. So you can see, this is a very, very interesting point. Somebody sent this message. So you have to see that who is supporting who. You see, sorry, this is that everybody supporting somebody. So somebody supporting Sunni, somebody supporting Shia, somebody supporting the Al-Qaeda, somebody supporting Hezbollah, and then the Americans supporting so. So it is welcome to the Middle East. This is the Middle East. So this is how, so you'll get confused. You don't know who is who in the Arab world. Okay, welcome to the Middle East. They started the problem when we start thinking we are in the same boat. You are Sunni, you are Shia, you are the reason, you are the reason, and then everybody start, this is how we are sinking together. So we blame ourselves for the mess we have created in the Arab world. We blame ourselves for where we are. We allowed the foreign to take advantage of our behavior and our indifference and our conflict that they have been able to gain what they want. So why Syria? I mean, Iraq would have been, Iraq is the largest reservoir of oil in the world. In fact, it is bigger than Saudi Arabia. According to our the journal of the explorations and all, even they have said it, I have read about it wrote about it in 2003, that they have discovered the largest reservoir of oil bigger than the Saudi Arabia. And in fact, if you go in Iraq, you will be shocked to know that 30 cents it costs to take a barrel of oil. So it's the cheapest. Oil is in the street. Dig half a meter, 1 meter, you get the oil. So it was easy, good, and there are tribe people, feudal society, lots of differences. So let's create instability. We go in, we take the oil, siphon, and let the people kill each other. That's what they keep on telling us. That's how they look at the Arab map, because the division of Sykes-Picot has taken place in the Arab world, where we had the North African state, the West Asian part, which we call the Middle East, and the Gulf state, where they have divided. And then now they said this is the world should look like, because the American does not feel comfortable to deal with big countries. It's always good to make it small countries. So small country means you will be divided into ethnic lines, into religious line, so into all this social group lining. So that's how the world looks like, will be in the Gulf, that Syria will be 3 states. Iraq is already de facto 3 states. Libya will be 5, by the way. Anyone of you knows who's the president of Libya? Nobody. I don't know even. I don't know either. Because I knew Gaddafi only. It doesn't matter, isn't it? We only know Gaddafi. So nobody wants us to know. That story, Gaddafi was a dictator. He has to be removed. They came. But now we know it is 5 or 10 Libya. I don't know. Maybe 10. But doesn't matter. They remove Gaddafi. They make you feel, as a media personnel, that he's a dictator, yes. But we have 112 dictators in the world. Is it the way of removing dictators? That is how we should ask ourselves. Why are we falling into their trap? To be a prey to what they are selling us the story. So Syria, they have discovered that Syria could be the 3rd largest reservoir of gas in the world in 2020. We have the largest reservoir of gas, according to US journal, Geopolitics Journal. You can read it. Modrock company got exploration exclusive in the Mediterranean Sea and in the Golan in Israel, where they have discovered large oil. So Yonan Odid, the Israeli writer who has written The Security of Israel in the 19th Century, which is a 35 pages of how the Arab world should be looked. In 1982, it was written. You must go and read it, because that's the time you have to understand what you are witnessing now in the Arab world is a result of a culminations of efforts and jobs has been done, which you're only seeing the result of it. So do not look at the result, look at the causes of it. And the causes of it are, these are the issues where you have to see it. So when he said the Arab world has to be divided into different states, so the hegemony of Israel will remain, we will be able to stand, because Ben Gurion said it even himself, that the Arab world, the existence of Israel depend on the destruction of 3 armies, Iraq, Syria, Egypt. Iraq is gone with the occupation, Syria at the verge of collapse, Egypt is heading for the trouble. So these are the issues if you wanted to survive the hegemony and then disintegrate that part. So when you discover oil, if I'm sure, if I find oil in Apeejay University tomorrow, none of you will see he's a bad guy. You can't. So you don't see good news in Syria on any of Modrock company in the West. So that is the first things they have done. They closed all the Syrian media. They closed all the Syrian missions. They ban us from the Arab League. They ban our TV from the Arab satellite. So I am giving you only one source of news, and you have to believe it. That is the only source of news. You should survive with it. So that is how it is. So this is how the American giving us democracy. This is the Arab world. This look like the Mullah Nasruddin donkey with the carrot in his hand, and in the carrot written that Hurriya, which is a freedom. And that's how they're leading us. This is the Arab map, by the way, from the Arab Peninsula toward the north, the Moroccan side. That's how it is. So it's not an indigenous movement. We have to see it. It's how we look at it. So this is America spreading democracy in the Arab world. I'm not against the American. That's why I don't say if we are against, anti, or pro. But if you are doing everything wrong and you call it a mistake, I mean, if somebody blow up something and you say individual act of terror, but if somebody do it from the Arab world, a Muslim guy or a beard guy, he says the whole community is generalizing. Now, these are issues I need to question. I mean, look, we are living in the 21st century. I'm sorry. Don't die stupid. Nobody wanted to die naive. Everybody have access to information, to news. You can source, counter-check, recheck. You don't have to believe what I say. But I am sure that you have enough tools in your hand to go and find out. You say, yes, I've seen this, I've seen that. So you have to judge yourself in your mind what's going on. If you have put the seeds of supporting political Islam in the Arab world, this is what you get. The fire will be fired back at you. 200 years ago, the Europeans have stopped what is called as the mixing religion with politics, which they have separated. Why are you encouraging political Islam in the Arab world? If you want democracy. When you have religion, it is between you and God. You don't have to bring it to the political arena. I mean, my deeds will tell you, am I a good citizen of this world? Am I a good human or no? As Guru Nanak said, you don't have to be Christians or a Jew or a Hindu or a Sikh. First, you are a human. I mean, we are all human. Are we really looking at ourselves on this way? We have to see it. We are all human. This is when the first 5 minutes of your life, as somebody else said, they decide your name, your religion, your future, and you will fight for the rest of your life for it. No. I am a human. Forget about my religion. Forget where I belong to. I need to be a human, and we have to be human. That's how we survive in this world. You cannot have one color of people. We are all different color. We have the same blood running in our blood, whether we are African, whether we are Arabs, whether we are Indian, whether we are from the white community or from European. So we are all surviving. So when you go and support terrorists or you support political Islam, a Muslim Brotherhood, most of the leaders in the Muslim Brotherhood, by the way, are in Europe. When we used to go and tell the American and the Britishers and the French and the Belgium, why are you giving them shelter? You say you don't have democracy at home. We're giving them shelter because they are running away from there. But then why they ran away at the first place? They were doing sabotage, they were destroying countries, they were doing lots of things. These are the issues where we need to question, and you need to see why the West have an interest of making sure that this part of the world is disintegrated. Because the failing capitalism, there are good things of capitalism and communism, but there are also the fallout of it. And the fallout of it, that now what you see, this uprising, social uprising, not only in the Arab world, you see it even in Europe, because it is the time when you can read in the news that the rich become richer 1% at the cost of the poorer. So when you are a graduate, you don't have a job, you have a problem. Gaddafi, when he was there, and he used to give you free education, he used to give you free medications, housing. Even if you want to marry, he will give you a house. Even if you are a PhD scholar, he will tell you, okay, you can do one thing. You don't have a job, sit down at home. We will pay you the same salary of the fellow who is having the job till we create a job for you. That is how it is. In my country, in Syria, also it's compulsory and free education. Free medication till date. If you have a child between the age of 7 to 12 and you have not sent him to school, both parents will go to jail till date. So if that is how it is only we have free medications, free education, subsidized food. We don't have that democracy. I'm sorry. I know. We don't have that free democracy. What is democracy for me? I mean, democracy is to run a party, to multi-party system and all. It was a small social transformation. A new president came, he wanted to make changes. Then we are living in the most turbulent region in the world. He came in 2000 and he wanted to do some changes, brought the civil society, the NGOs start active in Syria. And then after some time, the Syrian population start asking, No, it is the regime is corrupted, we need to remove it. Instead of being a helping hand, they become against the regime, the establishment. So they wanted to remove. So he stopped. Then you had Iraq war. American invaded Iraq. Colin Powell go to Syria, and he said, if you don't fall in our terms, we will remove you. And these are our terms. No Iran support. You open your market for open economy. Don't support Hezbollah. Make peace with Israel. Forget about Golan. Golan is Israeli. Just peace for peace. So the president told him, what you want us to do? He said, that's the way we deal. This is how we dictate our foreign policy. So he said, we go back. We're not going to follow it. We're paying the price now. It's the same thing. If you don't like us to give your company, your country for our interest, we'll bring democracy to your country. And that's how they brought democracy to Iraq. That's how they're bringing democracy to Libya. It's a shame in the history of humankind that a country can be destroyed and in the name of making democracy, they fooled us. They bombed Libya even before we could open our eyes, before the UN Security Council resolution come. They were bombing, killing, and then on the resolution come, the American moved back because according to the American law, they cannot bomb. But they made sure that the oil sustainable supply to Europe did not disturb. And that was important because their public will have a problem then. But how many people got killed? How many people are getting destroyed in the name of religion, in the name of democracy? These are the people rallying behind. This is from an American website where you could see the American carrying the Israeli, the Qatari, the Saudis, and the puppet behind them were following the spreading of democracy in the Arab world. That's it is. These are the facts. These are the things happening in the world. There's no, if you wanted to give me the blueprint of your own policy, why you went to Afghanistan? You went to Afghanistan to remove us from Taliban and Al-Qaeda. After 13 years, you left Afghanistan and you said, okay, there is a good Taliban, bad Taliban. Then you came. Then you said, okay, market-driven force. Occupy one country, get one country free. They went to Iraq, invaded Iraq. Then they say it is okay. Iraq now we can do. It is a mess. Yes, it's a mistake. But at the night, the dawn, hours, they left Iraq on its own. You deal with it yourself now. And now you say, oh, well, the solution is, let the Kurds stay one side, let the Sunnis stay the other side, and we will stay with the Shia in the south. This is the chronology of the American foreign policy. 84 countries have been occupied throughout the world. I can challenge anyone who can give me a good history, good example of any country they have occupied throughout the years that they have democracy, of the American style of democracy. This is not. I'm sorry to say that the American lost the value they have built upon. American expressions, values of democracy, the people, everybody, every child, even my child is in the US, is a happy place to stay, to study, to live it. But are they living with their own words? I'm sorry, no. If the American people knows what the Pentagon is doing, what the White House is doing in different parts of the world, they will revolt against their country. But that is why we do not hear much of the news, because none of the American, unfortunately, could recognize Iraq on the map. 30% of the American public opinion could recognize Iraq on the map, that this is Iraq. They don't know where is Iraq. We know more about America than the American knows about us. That is the fact. Because everybody knows within this given place and space that you should know. If you ask him in his subject, he's fluent and nobody can beat him. But if you ask him anything else, he doesn't know where is the kidney or the liver. That doesn't make difference for him. He doesn't want it to know. There is somebody who can do his job. So I'm just giving you a little background of the things so you have the things in your mind to explore. This is what happened in Syria. Syria, why Syria? So oil discover, gas discover. They wanted to remove a regime which is dictatorial in nature. Okay, I accept it. Then is it for God's sake bringing democracy to a country? You send mercenaries. 150,000 mercenaries from 83 nationalities are in Syria, are going to liberate Syria. What they are doing in Syria? Can you tell me the people who went to Bombay in 26/11 have gone to liberate Bombay? They went to kill people, the maximum number of civilians, and then to die because they brainwashed them. You die, you will go to Jannat, you will have 72 virgins waiting for you, eternal life, you'll have a good time. You're gone. They brainwashed people. So people moving out of colleges, out of schools because they wanted to join a radical and a monster which had destroyed. I came to India to study in 1979 when people of my age like you were going to Afghanistan because they said jihad in Afghanistan. So the culture of jihad was created in Afghanistan. The same project in Afghanistan was carried out to Syria, carried out to Libya and in Yemen, and they are doing so. So it's a good project, it's a profitable, let the people die. But who's dying? The poor, the young, the people, they should not be joining this. Why are you killing? Who are you to kill? I mean, I learned in India, which is my Jain fellow. I asked him when I was a child, I was eating, I said, why are you vegetarian? He said, if you do not have the power to create, you don't have the right to kill. And that's always in my mind. You cannot kill, no matter what. I'm sorry, even a chicken you cannot kill. So there is some sensible on that. I understand, I respected his philosophy. I respected his way of looking at the things in a different way. So if you don't have the power to create, how are you killing people? Who give you the arm? Why you don't leave something for God? We have oneness of God. We believe that we are going all to die. There's God to take care of us. Leave something for him to judge. If I was bad or good, he will judge me. You are now nobody to judge me. You are like me. So nobody can have the tag of I'm superior brand, I'm the chosen people, and you are doing the wrong things. No, we don't have chosen. We are all the same. So there is no question. So all these people brainwashed to go and to join this war, we should guide them that don't go, don't do it. You stop them. These are not the place. This is your place to study. This is the university. It is the campus. IS was created by the same people, Turkey. Open 950 kilometers with Syria. 950 kilometers, they let all this infiltration comes. Ask any European who went back now. Any mercenaries who would blow up himself in Belgium, in France, in Britain, in US, they all used the same route. Came from Turkey to Syria, learned how to rape, learned how to use the gun, learn how to go now, it's time to go to Jannat. Now they can go and blow themselves. So they created a mobile terrorist organization independent of any organization with the international media. You don't need to travel miles and miles till you do the operation. You can do it with the telephone, with anywhere independently and blow up yourself. This is the consulate in Mosul when IS was created. These are the people, 59 from the Turkish consulate. Can you believe it that IS released everybody intact with the tie, with the clothes intact, and they go back home? When we see the orange clothes and they're blowing up the self or putting them in target and cutting their neck, we need to question ourselves. Why Pakistan in the making is Turkey? Same Afghanistan was, Syria was the one was made it, and that's why we are paying the price for the other external intervention. These are the American, this is Bin Laden, by the way, if you didn't see this picture. This is Bin Laden with the National Security Advisor of the US, Brzezinski. He's having an institute now, Brzezinski Institute of Strategic Studies. By the way, he's the one who was teaching Bin Laden how to use the Kalashnikov. He didn't know how to use the Kalashnikov. Bin Laden didn't come from Syria. Bin Laden didn't come from Iraq. Neither the 19 people who blew up the towers of, they all came from one sources. It is called Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia created a takfiri, a doctrines movement in the Islamic world, which is called Wahhabism, which they have pulled out themselves, the current government, out of Wahhabism, Salafist, and these people whom are using the same book taught in Saudi Arabia, in Syria, Raqqa now, they're teaching from the same book taught in these universities of Saudi Arabia, inside Syria. So these are the people who think that the state Khilafat or Khalifa, because Turkey put in their head the Ottoman Empire, Muhammad al-Fatih, the last Sultan, Erdogan told them, I am the new Sultan. So to make the new de facto Sultan, Baghdadi was created. Then they are opening this to create an Islamic state, bring everybody and create this. Do you think in 21st century, anybody will let you have this kind of 1,400 years ago of nonsense talk? This is nothing. This is all just the brainwash of the people. If I am good, I learned from my religion that I should study even as far as China. For them, that was the farthest that time. It's written in our book and hadith. We need to study education. People, you more educate, you more create job, the more you become more sensible, more friendly to the other. But when you don't have a job, you have malpractice, you have everything to do, you want it to die. So Syria, everybody have a part of it. Syria is geopolitically located in the best part in the world. It has Africa on the west, you have the Mediterranean Sea, you have the north
border with Turkey, Europe, and you have the Asian side route, and you have it also the last point in the Silk Route, which comes from Syria. Well, Palmyra was the flourishing city in the old time, where you have all the business, and there were the meeting point between the East and the West. So Syrian location is very important. Syrian gas and oil is very important to do. Rest of it we can do. So Turkey, why Turkey? Turkey is when the president of Erdogan met with our president. By the way, Erdogan had 10 years of honeymoon with the Syrian president, 10 years. They had the best year. He could fly over Syria along with the barrel of gas that Amir of Qatar. He could sit in the airplane. He's tilting one side his airplane. He said, can I come down and have coffee with you? He come down, have coffee. Imagine if like we talk like this. Honestly, it happened like this. They come down with the airplane, sit down with the President Assad, have coffee, and Latakia, and holiday. And he gave him the best resort to make his palace in front of the palace of the president. For God's sake, I used to fight with my country. I said, what are you doing? They used to curse me because you said you're working for a channel, Al Arabiya, which is against Al Jazeera, and that's why you are supporting? No. I said, neither I support this nor this. And I left my channel because I am a hard shell to buy. They couldn't buy me, so I left it. I said, this doesn't matter. Doesn't matter, I can still. So Turkey, he told the President Assad, I want 1/3 of the birth of the ministry inside Syria for the Muslim Brotherhood organization. President Assad told him, I don't have in our constitution a religious party inside Syria. So he said, what I have to do? He said, no, you need to give birth to 1/3 of the seats to the Muslim Brotherhood. He said, they can do as an individual, they can come, appear in the election, I'm no problem. But as a party, our constitution is secular. That moment, the relation become bad after 10 years. Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia, if I show you the YouTubes and all, I mean, I was working for Saudi channel, which is run by Prince Walid bin Talal. It's nothing to do against the Saudi people. It is the doctrine they are teaching. It is the movement, the money the petrodollars give and feeding all this destruction and creating radicalization all over the world. In the book of Thicker Than Oil, which you all must read it, Rachel Bronson have brought the picture that to stop the spreading of communism, the American allowed Saudi Arabia after 1947 signing the agreement with Al Saud that we will protect the monarchy if you provided that none of the Arab country will fall in the hand of the socialist and become a communist country. So Islamization was allowed all over the Arab world, all over minorities in the Arab world. You will see one of the imam of Wahhabis running to any mosque, giving his venom, spreading all the news, and giving money to the imam, local imam. He see the money, his eyes get blind. He doesn't know what's going on. And that guy start giving him the book, read from that book. That book will bring, this is the religion. This is not religion. This is not what we have learned in our holy book. My holy book teach me, even God was asking the prophet, are you God? You wanted to make everybody in this world as one color? It's my job. If I wanted to make them one color, I am God, I can make them. It's written in my book. So is my religion saying that you are there to hidayat, to guide the people? You are not forcing anybody. Any forcing by any religion means you are not a good religion. Why people join Islam? They join Islam because equality, because you have a good deeds, you have honesty, you do, it is a love, affectionate. That is why people go for religion. Any religion, call for killing, any kind of religion. Nobody will join that religion. Nobody wanted to join a religion that can kill. So that is why you have to understand that religion is your dharma. It is your life between you and God, between your connection. It's my deed which will provide to you whether I'm a good follower of my religion or no. That is how we should look. Beyond that, government should be run. There is a system. There has to be run. There is nobody should interfere with his religion. So Qatar had another issue. The Qatari wanted to bring a pipeline. They wanted, it is the wider picture, which is you should always see. The wider picture is that they wanted to bring a pipeline of gas from Qatar through Saudi Arabia, through Jordan, into Syria, going to Europe, to reduce the dependence of gas of Russia, of Europe, to Europe. So that is a part of the wider Cold War scenario between the two superpower, US and the Soviet Union, and Russia after the Soviet Union, that they wanted to bring back the old Cold War era. So, and even yesterday, one of the Americans was saying that it is yes, we are heading for the Cold War with the. So this is to make intervention in a country. You have to manufacture instability, you have to manufacture terrorism, you have to manufacture radicalization. Then you have to say, well, there are people getting killed, there are regimes, there are atrocities happening. Then you can move in, you can send the people to go inside. I wanted to ask all of you, anybody heard what's going on in Yemen? Do you people know what's happening in Yemen? For the last 11 months, every day, 25 million Sunni in Yemen under total destruction. There are 35,000 Houthi, by the way, tribe in Yemen. But there are 25 million Sunni Yemenis are there getting bombed daily. None of the world is reporting this news. None of them. Unless and until there is some interest of the West and UN, they will tell you, oh, even a human rights group were not allowed to go inside Yemen to investigate the killing of. I get YouTube every day. People crying. He said, why are we punished? Why nobody is saying anything? The poorest of the poor country in the world. You know why? Because there is oil, there is a gas, and there is a bridge to be built between Djibouti and Aden, because Africa is next. So Africa is next because Africa is the oil there, and they are the discovery where you created Libya. You have a military base now. You will take on Mali. You will take on the Djibouti. You will take on Somalia. It's a part of the systematic destruction of the developing world. And Africa will be, after the Arab world, it is coming to that part of the world. I think I've taken too long. I think my half an hour finished. There was a good support of the social media in America, and they said even, you know, in the Arab world that you should have. So you have offline, online, the people start looking into the news and they start having access. So I don't want to give you much. This is how what they have done in Syria. They are empty all the terrorist organizations from all over the world. So we should thank the American. We have different nationalities now. I'll show you the. This is they have created in Syria, but I'll show you. This is what one of the American websites have showing, that two old American are meeting. They said, nice to meet you after Afghanistan. So it's always good to see. Let me finish at a lighter note. This is how they say either Syrian president stay in power or we will bring the terrorists to you. So if you don't like Assad, we will bring for you Al-Qaeda and Al-Nusra and all this one. This is the one of saying, why you hate us? American interviewing somebody, say why you are hating us. I think why you hate us is the question you have to ask yourself, what you have been doing in the Arab world. And there was one nice picture. He says, I wanted you to see this. This is important. You should know. Don't believe whatever you see on TV and all. Look for the wider picture. It's always important. This is a message everybody has to see. Don't make up your mind what is going on with this small picture. Because if I'm a doctor, I will give you a line of my medicine treatment. You will only be, I know your course of recovery, so I'll give you that line. But if you go and take another consultation and you take another way and you stop you taking your own remedies, you may be feeling better than what I wanted you to be there. So it's always better to look at both the sides. This is how they teach you. They call rebels in Syria rebel, terrorists when it suits them, good Taliban, bad Taliban, good terrorists, bad terrorists. It's a good terminology. We're learning lots of terminology in 21st century. We have to adapt. They go to Taliban, it was bad Taliban that time. Bad Taliban was there because American Reagan himself met with them in Unical. Ahmad Rashid book have written about this very interesting book, you must also read it. He has written about the Unical company of the oil in California, have met with them and paid $400 million to the Taliban to open the pipeline from CIS country through Taliban, through Afghanistan into China and India and all. So that was a part of the deal, but then they lost it, then they become bad. So Halliburton said that they blacklisted Taliban and they have to remove it. Okay, these are, you will find it yourself. This is how they are doing in my country. They are bringing bombs and all, they're destroying, and artifacts are leaving. It's very painful. I feel the pain daily. If you visit my Facebook page, you will see always 2-3 hours I spend translating about the history of Syria. Syria has a rich history, the cradle of civilization. Jesus Christ was a Syrian. You had even the Phoenix, you had also the Canaanite, you have the Sumerian, the Mesopotamia. Name it and it is there. Why are you destroying? If you are against the government, why are you destroying the stones? Why are you destroying the people? Okay. Why killing civilian? Why are you slaughtering people? What's going on? These are the questions we should ask. These are not a genuine movement inside that you need to remove a regime. If I know that this alternative is better than the current regime, I would be the first one to support, because I wanted something change. I wanted to see that things change in the Arab world. But these are not the way of changing, destroying the total heritage of Syria. That is how even the channels, the media, reporting. I will give you a story. I was saying the other day on of the panel discussion. A girl was missing in Syria at that time. And they said she died, and the parent went to the government, and then the NGOs, civil societies, human rights group. They took her to the post-mortem place, and they found bones, chopped bones inside. And they found the clothes, and she said, yeah, this is my daughter. They took the clothes, they took the bone, they made the parade. The money came from all over the Arab world for this girl, young girls being killed by the Syrian regime. And the UN Human Rights Group met. They issued a resolution condemning the Syrian government for the atrocity against its own civilian, and things was over. So after 1.5 months, same girl appeared in Syrian TV. She's been interviewed by the Syrian regime and asking them, where are you? He said, I ran away from home because actually I have a boyfriend and my parents want me to marry, and I didn't want to marry. I confronted the human rights group. I sent them the letter. I told them what is happening there in the Arab world. Why didn't you withdraw the resolution? The damage is done. Resolution is gone. So you created a resolution. You, academically, for your own interest, you'll find it in the book tomorrow. It was a resolution against Syrian government. But for me, which I feel the pain, Baba, she's alive. The parent went and took the girl and took her home, and they condoled. And of course, they made enough money. First, they denied it was the girl, till they so properly say, okay, yeah, she's our daughter. They took her. Because if you're giving you millions of dollars generated from the fund and the grants from the rich Arab country, definitely you will forget her. Why she has to run away? So she went and she came back home. So, but when we asked them, withdraw the resolution, they said no. These are the way media report. So if you wanted to see the media reporting of one side of the picture, you're not a journalist. Go to the place, find it, report from the ground. That is how you should know how these things are. These are how the American or US war on the Middle East, whether in Afghanistan, whether in Syria, whether in Iraq, and here how they have gone to Iraq, and from Iraq they're entering into Syria. Here, these are the picture. In Afghanistan, they call them terrorists. Now, in Syria, calling rebels. In Iraq, they call them terrorists. Freedom fighter were in Libya. So whatever it suits them, it gives them the same tag. But it is the same person. You shave his mustache, become moderate. You keep his beard, become Salafist. You keep his beard and mustache, he become Al-Qaeda. So it depends on the color and the pictures you want him to be. So you send them with ties and all. They go to sit down in Geneva, flying King Salman flight, jet, going sitting in there and discussing Syria, lavishly in the food and all, and people are starving in my country and dying in the name of freedom, and they are enjoying. Everybody made $50 million minimum. I can name you few of my colleagues who made really good money, who have good houses now in Europe and France, especially the first president of the Transitional Council. He had 5 houses now. 4 he is rented and 1 he's staying in. $50 million, good business. I don't go. This is how they report for you. This is the Salafists. They are saying that this is a peaceful revolution, and while they are killing the people in the street, and they are accusing the regime of killing them. And that's how the media is reporting. These are the issues which I try to. This is they're taking the Arab world into and crying for human rights in Syria, but we forget the rest of the world where it is. This is like the Pipers, where all the Arab leaders are falling apart and falling. All of them look like rats, are going into this. And they're just spending their money. Okay, now I think it's enough. Okay, I'll leave for the question and answer, but I just want to show you a picture which is nice. You should have a look at the picture. Let the ballot decide. I mean, look, if you want democracy, you talk of democracy, let us have democracy. Let the ballot decide who should lead you. It's we who should decide who lead us. You cannot impose a president on us. You cannot impose somebody. I don't know. I'm 35 years out of my country. Can I go be a good president of the country? Nobody will believe me. I didn't live with them. So how can you bring somebody from outside as the opposition? You create them, you dress them up the way you want, and you want them to be the leader in the country. No. This is how it's happening. They burn Syria, they backfire at them now. Everybody paying the price. The whole West is already paying the price because they know that all these returnees, mercenaries are well trained, well equipped, they are ready to blow up themselves. There is enough radicals element within their society where they are going to join hand with them and they can blow up themselves. So that's and this is the convoy of 400 convoy of IS traveling from Mosul to Syria, and America say we are bombing them. I mean, 400 kilometers, 400 convoys traveled all the way from the desert. There was no mountain. You didn't see them, but you could find water in the moon, by the way. Mars there is water in Mars. Okay? So that's how. When it suits you, you can find water, but it doesn't. The funding is important. You should know how the funding has been. They made them a self-reliance terrorist organization. So they can sell the oil, they can sell the artifact, they can take people at ransom. The money goes to Turkey, the oil, 90,000 barrels per day, goes to the Mediterranean, come back to Israel, go to Jordan, go to UAE, from UAE come back, the money to Turkey, go back to them. $4 million a day. So good business, $4 million. And they say, where is the money laundering? I mean, there are questions we need to ask. No? How do you funding all these things? If I want to send $5,000 to my daughter to America, I will have 101 questions. How you are sending? Who's this money? Where are you getting this? How did you get it? That is the question they use of us. This is usually the banking system. But when you give $4 million a day to terrorist organization, you're making them self-reliance. So they don't need any funding from outside anymore. After the Saudi, the Qataris, and the Emirates have paid enough money to them for till 2011, they realized that the world has become more conscious that we should not let the money go. So you sell the oil. So Turkey President Erdogan's son Bilal was selling and making $9 million a week by this. When the Russian took intervention in Syria, they helped the Syrian government. They bound 12,000 convoy of oil. And then he started realizing that he's losing business. Then they shoot down the Russian airplane. They said the Russian exposed what the American been saying for 2 years, that we are fighting IS. So IS has never been fought. Don't get fooled. This is American ambassador to Syria, Robert Ford, meeting with the Free Syrian Army. The Free Syrian Army meeting with Al-Nusra, which is Al-Qaeda. Al-Qaeda giving loyalty to IS. Good Taliban, bad Taliban, good terrorists, bad terrorists. So that's how it is. It suits them. It suits them. This is his picture. I didn't fake this picture. You can find it in YouTube. You can just search and you will find it. I mean, something which is we need to understand. Here, welcome. Look at the collection of people. Can you believe it? How many nationality we have? We are a very proud nation. We have people from different part of the world. 83 nationalities in my country now. All of them different beard, different color. Welcome to Syria. They are learning Arabic. We are learning Shishan. We are learning Afghani. We are learning Indonesian. We are learning Hindi. We are learning Persian, we are learning any language you want, Turkish, everybody is in Syria now. So this is the Syrian army up, regular Syrian army, and then you are having all the mercenaries with different colors. These are openly, they are taking picture, selfie. Okay, I think I'll stop here. I think that's, thank you very much. Sorry for taking that long.